Yeah, I would say in horror movies, turning off the lights is probably a bad idea. So let's try to keep them on and let's see, if that's really a good idea or not here. Starting with the IMDb plot. A group of friends embark on a road trip to a music festival, oblivious to the supernatural horrors that await them along the way. All right, so new film coming out here. So we will keep this as spoiler free as possible. Also, to note, I received a screener for this one, so another reason here to kind of keep this as spoiler free as I can. Yeah, I guess there are some twists and turns, and definitely don't want to give away the ending here and where this kind of ultimately leads. So I'll try to keep it spoiler free and just kind of give you guys a little bit of a summary and then talk a little bit about it and save some stuff for you guys to watch and find out here. Um, yeah, we have the usual kind of setup here, a group of young people here setting off on an adventure, and bad stuff is going to happen to them. That's the very, very simple of it. Um, but here you have a group of friends, mostly friends. Some are maybe a little bit closer than others. Obviously, the beginning of the film, you're going to kind of get introduced to them and kind of the dynamic, who all these characters are, their relationships. Some of them are couples or dating and so forth. There is, one kind of newcomer to the group. He's, been in the military, so, he's going to be kind of that kind of role in the movie. So you can have a couple of women here, a couple of guys here, and they basically end up in this camper, RV, and along the way they go. One of them is kind of celebrating a birthday. This is kind of their trip, surprise trip or so forth to kind of celebrate. So, everybody's obviously in a good mood, celebrating mood. But like I said, there are some dynamics. A couple of the people may not get along with others, as well. And obviously, when things kind of get chaotic, that can mean you'll want to help others more than others and that kind of thing. So, that's the very simple of it. They get in the camper, they kind of go. They make the usual horror mistake. They stop at a gas station, get some gas. Maybe the people inside aren't the best. There's definitely two guys outside that they kind of get in an argument, and that kind of starts the ball rolling on the bad stuff that's going to happen as a kind of fight ensues. And then this fight is going to further push them, once they kind of drive away. Uh, these guys are going to come back and kind of run them off the road, which kind of gets them off course, then kind of heads them down the wrong road. So it's not one of those things where, you kind of ask that gas station guy and they're like, yeah, go that way because, that's the way to go. And you go that way and bad stuff happens. This one's a little bit more different where they kind of, kind of get run off the road and end up then just going in the wrong direction, period. And as soon as they kind of go in the wrong direction, there's more people who are like the other two guys who ran them off the road, and nobody really has an interest in telling them where they should go. And yeah, they're just going to go down the highway until bad stuff starts happening. So yeah, it's kind of interesting here that they kind of go off the path, and I think at first you're not gonna know a whole lot of what is happening here. You're not gonna know, where the two guys at the beginning kind of involved with, what, when I guess they're gonna obviously break down or kind of get stuck out there in the middle of nowhere. It eventually becomes nighttime. It's dark, obviously, in the middle of nowhere in the woods on a road. And weird stuff's gonna start happening. So kind of at first, is it the two guys at the beginning, or is it some of the people that they came across before they broke down? Is this kind of larger group here messing with them? Is something else happening? You're not gonna know, right off the top. And I definitely, was kind of curious, and even when the first kind of thing or two kind of plays out, I'm still kind of, wondering, which direction this is going to kind of go. What is exactly, getting them, what is exactly after them. Um, and I think, overall, you're never going to get a true solid answer. I think in the beginning it just says supernatural horrors to them, and I think that's, the basics of it. And pretty much, what ends up going on here. You're never going, it's never going to be a solid thing. Obviously, they're going to do a pretty good job here, and I'll credit them for that, of kind of keeping, where all this kind of came from. They're going to drop maybe a very small hint, but a hint that, really you can't really assume until, they basically mention it later on and you get the evidence of it. As they stumble upon the evidence, you kind of figure it out. Why this is all really happening. I like how, when I was watching this, I was thinking, is it these guys? Okay. And then when it becomes clear that, maybe, something else is going on here, you're still kind of off of it. And then you're kind of like, what, why, where is this coming from? Blah, blah, blah. And then, it's going to be late, on where they kind of drop it on you that, okay, well, this is why this is all happening. So I liked that. I liked how they kind of kept that. Again, not, truly knowing, what is really going on, and just the weird situations that keep happening, was also, a little weird, but it kind of kept you on your toes as well. What else to say without giving too much away? I think, obviously they're in the middle of nowhere. It's dark. They are probably might try to. There's a little bit of jump scare. I don't know, a huge jump scare, but I think there's a little bit of that mixed in. So if you're looking for that, there is that here. There is a little bit of blood and guts. I wished it had stuck to it a little bit more. I think early on there are some moments where it could have showed you more, and I was getting, honestly, a little frustrated. I was like, oh, they had a moment where they could have shown me a little bit more, and it was a little bit more of showing me the aftermath, and you guys know that kind of bothers me. I want to see it. I'm there to see it. It's a horror movie. And I felt that, in the first little bit of stuff that was happening, I was seeing more of the aftermath, or nothing at all. You kind of just like, okay, something happened to a person, and you're as confused as the rest of the survivors. Like, what happened to this person? Where'd they go? What is happening? So you don't get to kind of get everything that you want there. But then I think as we kind of get towards later in the film, and maybe the last couple of people that are left, then I think it picks up a little bit more, shows you a little bit more. You may get that little bit more impact that you want. There's definitely someone who has some impact, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. So you'll definitely get it. You're just gonna have to wait for it. And definitely for me, I was like, come on, I want to see it, blah, blah, blah. I was definitely getting frustrated. I think, what I just hinted at a moment ago, when that person was kind of there, I was like, oh, come on, this is the time. It's now or never. You're going to show me something, or you're not, and I'm just going to either continue to be mad, or you're going to show me, and then you kind of gave me something. So, I was at least happy. They at least finally gave me something, and then gave me a little bit more. So by the time it ended, so definitely had to stick with it as far as getting some of that blood, or getting to see someone kind of really in that bad situation, as opposed to people just almost in a sense disappearing. You're kind of like, you hear their voices or whatever, and the other characters don't know what the hell is happening. You don't know what the hell is happening, but people are just not there anymore, and that was a little frustrating. You're definitely going to have to kind of pay attention, because there are going to be scenes where you and the characters think you're seeing something. It may or may not be happening. And that was one of the weird things about the movie. It does kind of do this back and forth where I guess just to kind of say it, and I don't think it's a spoiler, as as they're in the camper, you're kind of okay. Not it's not a totally sacred ground there, but you're better off, and that's an obvious thing. But as the movie goes on, and to make it scary and whatever, obviously people have to get off this thing. So whenever someone gets off, it kind of becomes a little bit of a weird situation, and what the people inside the bus are seeing is not necessarily what is happening. What you're seeing is not necessarily. So you're gonna have to kind of pay attention and kind of to really grasp what is happening, and to also enjoy whatever they're trying to scare you with, and so forth. So yeah, there's that. As the movie again kind of rolls on, I was thinking, don't turn out the lights. I can say that I don't really ever figured, what the lights had to do with it, and the name. I think the name is a good name for a horror film. If it had a bigger impact, I missed it. I don't know really what lights had to do about anything. Um, I without giving without giving anything away, I have one or two light guesses at it. I don't know if those are the correct answers or not. But I was kind of waiting for that, moment where, are they turning on and off a light, and that's kind of saving them. You know, is a flashlight going to save them? Is the light on the cell phone going to save? Is that kind of making a big deal? The lights are kind of on in the camper. There are, other moments where they have stuff that's lit, but I don't know that it's ever a thing where having the lights on or off really makes a difference or not. There's one other guess that I kind of have, but I don't really want to say it. And I guess the only thing I guess to say it is just basically whether you're within the light of the camper or you're kind of away from it when the bad stuff kind of happens, which I kind of said already. So, when it said don't turn out the lights, I kind of had different expectations for what that meant and how the movie was going to go than how it went. But that, it didn't ultimately play a role in me liking it or not. But I was just always sitting there kind of, wondering, when was that moment going to happen? And I don't know. To me, it didn't really happen. Maybe I missed it. I tell you guys all the time. It is possible I miss it. You guys catch it. Feel free to clue me in if you watch this and you're like, oh, come on, it was here, it's this is why the lights. And I'm like, okay. I appreciate the help. Stuff, completely goes over the ghost host hat here all the time. So, yeah, I think, I guess, other things to say. It is an hour and 50-minute movie. I would have said, maybe some of the stuff early on, they could have moved through a little bit quicker. I know we have to go through the standard kind of introduction to the characters, kind of, get them, in play, see their relationships, see who likes who doesn't. That's going to play a kind of a role, as this movie goes on, who's surviving and then their relationship with each other. So that's definitely going to play a role in how this goes. So, I know the importance of it, but, I wish, maybe it moved through that a little bit faster. Once, then we kind of had to go through the standard, get them, get them in trouble, get them kind of sidetracked, get them stopped. And, you had to go through all that kind of typical stuff. I wish, maybe it went through that a little bit faster, and so forth, to kind of get, into, what we're really here to see, and so forth. And then even with that, I think, I don't know, it just seemed like we could have moved everything a little bit, maybe a tad faster, especially since, I don't know that the whole movie had to be, on the suspense and so forth. Obviously, once things kind of get dark and the worse the situation got, it kind of was. And I thought, maybe there was a time or two where maybe it slowed down a little too much or kind of waited too much until, just getting to the next person who's up as far as getting scared or gonna die or whatever was gonna happen, so forth. I did like the ending. I liked the way they wrapped it up, and left it. So I was appreciative of that. I was not going to say too much there, let you guys see that for yourself. Did like the way it kind of ended. And it's going to definitely leave you on your toes, kind of in the last moments, and what's really happening and what eventually happens, to the eventual group, as a whole, and then how it kind of leaves off. So I did like that, and so forth. So yeah, it's has its ups and downs here, but I think at the end I'm gonna give it 2.5. If maybe they give me a little bit more blood and guts like I kind of wanted, maybe I would have given them 3. I'm gonna go 2.5 out of 5, for this one. Maybe if they had moved a little bit faster and gave me a little bit more blood and guts, and definitely could have bumped that up. But I'm gonna go down the middle here in this one, and 2.5 pools of blood. But I still think that there's enough here for you guys to enjoy, and and get into, and then if you're kind of, I guess, into the supernatural horror, I guess this film will be for you, and definitely something of interest to check out. So again, a new film, and again, I will try to include a link to the information about the film down below, so you guys want to know more about it and where you can see it and so forth down below. So yeah, again, 2.5 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. So with that, horrorsgorereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews written in video. Certainly mostly video reviews of late, but if you want to go searching for some written ones of some older films, definitely do so on the blog. But with that, otherwise, if you're just interested in the video reviews, you can like and subscribe like everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. But if not, no worries. It is okay. I appreciate your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Feel free to join me there. Like, follow, or not. Talk about horror with me there or not. Please feel free to do so. I enjoy it. If there's something you want me to review, let me know. Also in the comment section, if that's your way to reach out to me, please feel free to. With something you want me to review, talk about this movie, definitely once you guys see it. Let me know. Again, the title, if you have more explanation and I missed it, please fill me in. I'm happy to take it. I won't be offended by the lights being out upstairs here, and it's truly okay. So yeah, and anything else you want to add about the movie, feel free to in the comment section. So yeah, with that, I guess I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.